Hey guys, so I came up with an idea, and that is to do a series about values. Pick a value, talk about what it is, why it's important, what society has with it, or is without it, or happens without it, something like that. So that's what I'm doing right now. And the reason I'm doing it is because, let's start off with, I'm not perfect. I certainly do not always embody all of these, or necessarily any of them. None of us do. But I thought it's a good idea to start thinking about them. You know what I mean? Like, these are things we should think about a bit more often. So, I'm going to start the series. Oh, and also, another thing about that is, like, these are things that are, like, common among all of us, right? Like, there are different belief systems that believe that you don't believe what they say and you're going to hell, or whatever the case may be. And that tends to be what starts wars. Not all of them, but a lot. So what I'm looking to do here, I want to explain it to my friends who might be like, the reason the world is bad is because they turned away from this. I respect your belief, but here's the thing. It's not realistic. I believe as much as you believe what you believe, I believe. So if we're all having the same level of belief in what they believe, no one's going to be like, oh, you're right. You know what I mean? So we have to really look beyond that and appeal to the humanity in everybody, rather than shaking a finger at them and bemoaning the state of the world. I mean, you can bemoan the state of the world, but, be realistic about it. So, with that said, I'm going to appeal to all of your generosity. Now, why am I starting with this one? Why start with generosity? Well, it's totally self-serving. I need you to be generous with your money, especially, but, anything but with your money, to us at the BN Initiative, because we have an event coming up and we really need to pay for stuff and we really don't have any money. So if you could be generous, it would be appreciated. Now, without further ado, I do have notes, so I will be looking at them. First, let's kind of talk about what generosity is. It is the act of giving freely, right? It's not just money, though. It's time, it's attention, it's resources, it's spirit, support, love, all that stuff. It's not just about money, definitely. But the thing about that is, whatever it is you're giving out without expecting something in return. That's what generosity is. And it evolved because humans are wired for cooperation. Well, the reason we're wired for cooperation is that generosity helped community. Yeah, I'm obviously reading from my notes. Generosity helped early communities survive by building trust and mutual support. It's a trait that evolved because it brings us closer and it makes us stronger together. It's not just about money. It could just be listening deeply. It's offering kindness, being present. That's what generosity is. And again, it's giving without expectation. It's not trade. When you give to get, we all do it. It's important for life to go, like the world that we know it to keep going, and to survive in this world. But it's transactional and isn't actually giving. It's barter. And that's fine. That's fine. That's good. We got to do it. But I'm just saying, when you give and when you are being generous, you do it without any expectation of anything in return. Not even because it feels good. You do it because it matters. It's important. And it makes other people feel better. It's a willingness to extend yourself. It can be your comfort. It can be your compassion. It can be action. Whatever it is, generosity is a choice that you make to reach out to others, to help others. And generosity is also a way of being. It's not just one thing. It's not just an action, although it does take the form of action. Mostly. I don't like absolutes, so I'm not going to go with always, but I'm pretty sure always. You know, it is a way of being in the world. It's an approach to life. You're open-hearted. You know, you're freer that way. You're expansive. And you're grounded in caring for others. That is what I'm going to say about what generosity actually is. I think it's important for us to kind of think about also what happens when we don't have it. When generosity is missing from society, first off, all relationships start to feel transactional and guarded. Without generosity, our connections lose warmth. People become a means to an end and not fellow humans. And that, when there's no generosity and relationships become transactional, there's a scarcity mindset, you know, jumps in to society. People withhold their presence. People withhold their care, their vulnerability. And in its absence, we hide behind protection, right? It's every person for themselves. And that leads to missing out on connection. And that's something we really need in this world, is connecting with your fellow people and seeing others as human beings and not just a means to an end or something to get out of the way. Security takes over if we don't have generosity. It feeds the illusion that there's never enough. I mean, the scarcity mindset, but like love, time, support, if there's not enough of that, we don't give it. We hoard it for ourselves. And that's a problem. And then communities on a larger level, communities become fragmented and disconnected, like we were just talking about. Disconnected. When you're disconnected, isolation grows, and that's one of the big problems we're having right now. When they stop giving, they stop belonging. And that's what happens. And, you know, we stop seeing each other as human. We are a means to an end or an obstacle in our way, right? But everything is transactional. That's the mindset. What can you give me? Okay, I'll give you something, but what do I get in return? Because I don't have enough, and, you know, I can't give without getting in return. And now I'm turning over my notes. So, let's talk about why it's important, which I kind of been talking about now. But in an opposite way, right? Because we just talked about what happens when there's a lack of generosity. But when there is generosity, what happens? It unlocks connections, right? Generosity opens the door to meaningful, heart-centered relationships where people feel safe, seen, and valued, right? If you're not being transactional, then you're connecting with a human being. And people, it's definitely something you feel. The relationships become meaningful. You know, if you're doing things for the good of the other person rather than to get, that's gonna improve a relationship, right? It's also the foundation for real community. Because if you think about, we evolved having to cooperate and having to give to each other. And, you know, because there's a reciprocity in the sense of what's good for one is good for everyone, I guess. I don't know. But it does build community. It does help relationships, and that is going to help us evolve, right? It also makes us makes us part of something bigger than ourselves. It expands our capacity to love. Like every time we do something generous, we love more, we are connected more. We're trusting, which can get you in trouble, but is also a good thing. One thing that is great about generosity is that it inspires others to rise, right? So someone sees you being generous, it kind of gives them permission to be generous. Maybe they've been kind of in one mindset and they see you be generous and they're like, oh, wait, right. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Like it spreads. It uplifts all of society when you uplift one person, because a person is a member of society. It also reminds us of who we are. We're not our fear. We're not our defenses. We are wired for kindness and compassion, and generosity. That's kind of how you see everything is about generosity. Are you open? Are you willing to extend yourself to others? At a cost to yourself. Not a big cost, maybe, but you love someone more. That's energy. The point is, you're expecting to do something in return, and that's what society is actually kind of built on. So the last thing is that we shape the world we want to live in by giving to each other. It's a building block. When we give without strings, we're not just helping others. We are rewiring. We are changing the emotional climate of the world, because every single thing that we do changes society, because you are part of society. Societies are made up of individuals, and when you do something good, all of society benefits. So that's what I have to say about generosity, and I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions that you could respond to if you want to interact a little, because that's what I'm learning about in social media. But also I want to know the answers to these questions. Like, what was the last time someone was really generous with you, and why did it stick with you? How are you generous in your life? And what is one small way that you could practice generosity in your life today? Do it. Just fun, So that concludes this first episode on my new series about values. And again, generosity was the one I started with because I need your generosity with the B in. We're going up in a month, and we need money to pay for stuff that we can't currently pay for. So I'll put the link below. It's givebutter.com-in-joy Boston, but I'm going to put it below. And I hope that you can be generous with us today. And I will be back tomorrow with a different value. Not sure which one yet, but that's what we'll talk about, because that's how we build a better society.